Hey, this is Common Truth. I'm Dhruv Hegde, and today I'm going to be talking about what it means to be the perfect individual. Now, I'm not talking about the slight envy that you might have towards the select few individuals that you personally know, meaning like, oh, he is great at everything. Oh, she be able to do everything and balance her schedule. I'm not talking about those type of envy that you might have on a day-to-day basis. I'm talking about being an individual, an entire construct itself, not just a person, but rather a being, something that's high elevated above what we call the human status and respected, widely recognized, widely regarded, and able to achieve in many different fields at once. Now, at the end of the day, we all have a conception of who we want to be. Maybe you picture yourself as a Nobel Prize winner. You might picture yourself as an Olympic skater. At the end of the day, this is up to you, and we have freedom of thought in this regard. And at the end of the day, you know what you want to be. However, we always lack the motivation to always put 100% of effort within everything we do. And even the most productive and motivated of individuals with most intrinsic value and the most virtuous qualities itself can't be able to do this, so how are we expected to do the same thing? And the reality is that we're not. There's a lot of conceptions about what a perfect being is, and they're all contradictory to one another. If you think about it, philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle, they both have ideas that a lot of people are aware of. They both have ideas, and they're quite respected, even though they've been long gone before our years. A lot of people are still aware of who they are as people, and they regard them as wise individuals who are able to think into the future without having the technology to be able and capable of doing so. So let's take Plato's definition, for example. Plato regarded an individual to be perfect if they were a virtuous king. He described them to be a ruler who had dominion and power over a large amount of people while still preserving his humility and having wisdom enough to educate all the people in his kingdom and maintaining a good social standing. So basically what he mentioned was agreeableness. He wanted a ruler to be very altruistic towards his subjects, not one to cause limitation or not one to subdue lots of heavy and dangerous work upon his subjects. So in this definition, a lot of people maybe could fall into our radar considering, oh, the perfect individual. We know people in ancient England. Now, not all of the kings have definitely obeyed this idea. That is certainly not true. But when we look at figures such as Peter the Great or Catherine the Great, we look at these individuals because they stand out from the crowd. We know that the rulers of ancient Russia were more along the lines of Ivan the Terrible, where they caused utter chaos and the state of the country was pretty much anarchy at that point. There's a lot of individuals running amok, doing whatever they wanted. However, when Peter the Great came in, he was able to revolutionize the country, bring about great change, maintain good power while still being able to have a virtuous presence within his kingdom. We could also think about this in ancient India when you think about like Ashoka and how he treated a lot of his disciples, and regardless of his religion and being Muslim, he actually helped a lot of Hindus as well, and he bridged the gap between the two religions. And this is a time wherein both religions existed cohesively and in together with peace and eternity. Certainly not like how we see it today, where there's a lot of conflict and fighting, and we see on the news every single day where one religion is bordering on the other, and they have conflict with one another in a very grave way that takes away a lot of innocent lives. And this is certainly not a good way to do so. So we look at these figures and we think about them as, oh, these were perfect individuals. However, this is not the case, because Aristotle would definitely disagree with this. He agreed more with the side that an individual who keeps to themselves and is able to bring a novel contribution to the field without indulging in the fame or notoriety is an imperfect individual. So what he focused more on is an individual to pursue empirical thought or have wisdom themselves and being able to educate the mass populace without actually being able to feed into such validation that they receive from people. Even though they might be widely regarded, they themselves don't even understand the conception of being known or famous of any sort. And now another individual might disagree with this. There's other ideas by philosophers such as the Stoics who who conceptualize such a perfect individual as a person who just stays to themselves, stays silent, and is fulfilled by whatever they're doing. They don't even have to be widely regarded, they don't have to be known. In fact, even if they live in isolation, that's actually the best way that they can become perfect. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of different ideas about what a perfect individual is, what we consider a person who's able to achieve in many different scenarios. For example, if you look at Leonardo da Vinci, he was able to become a very good philosopher, a great philosopher, a modern artist, and someone who revolutionized science to a great extent, and he observed and bridged the gap between science and nature indefinitely. However, there's also other individuals such as Leibniz who are able to not only pursue metaphysics, but he was also able to independently invent calculus alongside Newton, who was overseas at that time. But these are a lot of different conceptions that we might have. You might consider an individual perfect, while another individual might consider that same person corrupt. At the end of the day, we always know that if you look at a public figure and you think about them or idolize them, there's always going to be a person who disagrees with you. So there's no conception, there's no one thing about being a perfect individual. And I personally believe that if you're able to do what you want to do without giving in to a crowd appeal or trying to conform yourself to make every single decision based on what other people tell you to do, then you're living fine. And if you have a passion and you pursue it, then I'll respect you. This might not be the case for any other individual, but when I look at other individuals my age and I see an individual who has a passion, they have an aspiration, and they're technically working toward it and gaining more knowledge. This does not have to mean necessarily doing indirect pathways in order to eventually be able to do it. I mean directly pursuing that passion, and I'll respect you for it. I think a lot of other individuals who constantly leverage connections for the ability to get forward, I personally don't respect them as much, and there's maybe other qualities of them that I respect or admire. However, this is not one of them. So at the end of the day, you can live your life the way that you see fit, and at the end of the day, if you're doing what you want to do and you're not conforming, then I truly believe that you're living a life that's meaningful and worth being led. And at the end of the day, you're also able to change your conception based on what you think might be better for your future. You can always make and change decisions, and that's why we have our own mind. We're able to think freely as such, and we have the freedom to decide what we want to do with our lives and what path we want to pursue. So if you enjoyed watching this video or you want to see other videos like this, then I would definitely appreciate you leaving a comment down below. You don't even have to subscribe, because I understand that some people don't want to have their feed polluted with this, maybe when they're trying to find entertainment. However, I want to listen to your thoughts, because I generally appreciate when people leave their thoughts down below regarding what they feel about the subject, especially the subject of the video. If you also have any ideas about what a future video can be like, or why you think that my opinion is wrong, and that I may even make another video regarding the same subject, but re-questioning what it truly means to be the perfect individual. If you like this, then you can also like the video and subscribe, and even though I don't necessarily need you to do those things, I would appreciate if you did so. So yeah, until then, I'll see you in the next video, and yeah, common truth out.